Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to talk about whether or not the dynamic duo of Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell is the best guard duo in the league, and can they do some damage in the playoffs? And hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so and hit that notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next video. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers, and we need your help. So, Rob, do you think Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are the best guard duo in the league in the WNBA? And
I think so.
Yep. Okay. Can the two of them lead the Indiana Pacers to do some damage in the playoffs? This is part two of our question. Let's start with part one. So I looked at all the teams, and the only duo that can compete with them is Kelsey Plum and Jackie Young of the Aces, because Chelsea Gray is an excellent guard. She's not healthy this year. Her numbers are way down, so I'm not even going to consider her. They got three good guards, which is unusual. So I total up the stats between both the players for the year for both teams, and I'm going to go one by one. So points total, we're going to do Plum and Young first. They're 17.4. Okay. The Fever guards are 18.5 advantage. Fever rebounds, they average 3.5 for Plum, and for the Aces, I'll go Aces guards. And the Fever guards are 4.1 advantage Fever. Assists, 4.8 for Aces. Fever, 5.1 advantage Fever. Mm-hmm. Steals, 0.9. Aces, 1.1 for Fever, advantage Fever. Blocks, 0.2 for the Aces, 0.5 for the Fever, advantage Fever. Turnovers is 2.3 for the Aces and 3.4 for the Fever, advantage Aces for the first time. And the assist to turnover ratio, 2.1 for the Aces and 1.5 for the Fever, advantage Aces. Shooting percentage, all advantage to the Fever. So it's 42.2% for the Aces and 44% for the Fever. 30.347% at three-point line and 35.6% for the Fever, and 86% at the line as opposed to 87% at the free throw line. And total efficiency shooting percentage is 51% for the Aces and 54% for the Fever. Okay. So except for turnovers, there's an advantage in every category. Right. I will say that the only thing that doesn't usually show up is on-ball defense. And the only one who stands out there is Jackie Young, who's supposed to be one of the best on-ball defenders in the league, and those stats usually don't show up, because steals can be on-ball or off-ball, as Rob would tell you, as a defensive specialist. So to me, it's pretty clear. And even though Jackie Young would give the stats that don't show up, Caitlin Clark has the stats that don't show up in terms of making her teammates better, that Plum and Young don't really have.
Right. Yeah, I feel like, even without those stats that you just put out there, Mark, like I said, we can do the one stat, which is the eye test stat, and that's what I go by. And this the way they're playing right now, the Fever are playing right now. That two combination, when they get together, when Clark is passing the ball, and Mitchell is when she gets hot, even from the outside, but now she's learning, like the last game, she's learning to cut to the basket, and Clark sees that and gives a nice bounce pass in for a layup. So she's also working on her little inside game, which is pretty scary for the other teams.
I agree with you. Eye test, Jackie Young's an excellent all-around guard, but right now Caitlin Clark looks like the best guard in the league to me. Before, I thought Jackie Young looked better than Caitlin Clark, but I think it's changed. And Mitchell's better than Kelsey Plum right now. And I'll give you some more stats, Rob. Since the Olympic break, Caitlin Clark has averaged 24 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, and 8.3 assists. But even better is her shooting percentage has gone up to 469, 373 at threes. So it's finally gone up from like 32, 33%. Right. And her free throw percentage is 938. She's actually shooting 90%, right? 90.1% right now in free throws. And Kelsey Mitchell's averaged 25.2 points since the break, and her shooting percentage is 5.19 434 for threes, and 94% for free throw lines. And between the two of them, they average 55% of the points for the Fever right now.
Yeah. And just overall, like I said, between these dynamic duo, it's also rubbing off on the other players. They're playing well. The whole team's just starting to play well, and you can see in the press conferences with Mitchell and Clark, they're like best buds. And Mitchell's, even though Clark doesn't really promote herself, Mitchell will be like, "Oh no, she's playing great," and then Clark will actually get embarrassed by her saying that. She's finally. It seems like not just her. Mitchell in the beginning, like we stated in some videos, that she was kind of jealous of her, or she wanted to be the main person, although she was gunning up shots. Now, she's shooting the shots a lot, but they're more structured. She goes, okay, I know I can get hot. They're not I don't feel as forced or trying to shoot because she wants to be the best player on the team.
Right. The last 2 or 3 games, there's been less hero ball from her, and she's been passing more. And 2 games ago against the Suns, she made a highlight pass to Boston. So before we go into whether or not they can lead them into winning in the playoffs, we'll give our respect to Temmie's coming back, and that makes the team better. And as soon as she gets her shot down, she's going to be very, very valuable to the team. And obviously, Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston have a great combination together. Leah Boston's an excellent player. And also, Lexi Hall is playing out of her mind. Great on-ball defense, and now she's dropping her three-point shot 3 games in a row. So obviously, they're the key to them making it in the playoffs too. But for right now, we're going to concentrate on whether or not this duo, because they seem to really spark their offense right now, these two, in terms of winning in the playoffs. Can they help them do some damage in the playoffs, Rob?
Yeah, I believe so. We had a video. They are the team you don't want to play in the playoffs. And even though the team that they play will have the home court advantage, not really, because Caitlin Clark on the team, most of the fans are rooting for Caitlin Clark, so it's kind of like a disadvantage. It's not really a home court advantage. It's more like, okay, hopefully our fans can be louder than their fans.
I'm really struggling with my objectivity and not trying to get overconfident, because I know that you're right. The home court advantage is not a big deal for the Fever because the way people come to see Caitlin Clark play and cheer for her. But at the same time, this team has no playoff experience.
Yeah.
None. And it shouldn't make a difference, but it seems to in the playoffs. And, you're still playing a basketball game, but the pressure is greater, and how you react to that pressure and how you are able to win close games is, as you know, because playoff games are often close, even more so than in the regular season because the teams are more even. So my concern is their ability to win the close games because, 1, they don't have a very good coach, and 2, they don't have playoff experience.
Those are the 2 factors right there, Mark. The playoff experience and the coaching.
Right.
That's gonna be a major factor. If she in the playoffs, is she gonna get right now? She's kind of doing a kind of a nice job, like a hands off, and she's just getting it. But in the playoffs, where she revert back to the way she was in the previous games, where she wants to be like you call it, micromanaging, and not substituting that well. So that's what scares me.
Right. If she coaches like she did the last couple of games, basically lets Caitlin Clark coach on the court, I have more confidence. But if she starts trying to micromanage like she did during, before the last 2 or 3 games, and tries to slow things down and stuff like that, then I'm very concerned that they're not going to do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, and making adjustments the adjustments that they had.
Right.
Everybody who watched the last game, we were all anticipating and pins and needles wondering, they have the lead by 14 in the third quarter. Here we go again. Are they going to falter? I think it's going to be in every game. Unfortunately, right. How are they going to perform in that fourth quarter?
And here's the other problem. They have an advantage because short series kind of might favor the team that's slightly weaker. But the other problem is they're going to play some really tough teams every time because of their seeding. Like if they were the number 1 seed, you could get the number 8 seed, then you could get the 4 or the 5 seed. But if you're going to be, which they're probably going to be, it looks like they're going to be the 6th seed. Mm-hmm. So they're going to get the 3rd seed. It doesn't even matter, Connecticut Sun or Minnesota Lynx, those are pretty equal teams. They're going to get them. And then if they win, they get the other seed, which is not second or third. So they're going to get Minnesota Lynx, and then they're going to get the Sun, or they're going to get the Sun, and then they're going to get the Lynx. And then they'll probably get the Liberty, or who else comes out of there. Maybe the Aces upset them or something like that.
Right.
We'll see. So either way, they're going to get 3 really tough teams in a row. No easy things for them because they're not a seed in the top 4.
But it's kind of neat though. Like it's like with the way they're playing, they can be very loose. On the other hand, though they haven't had playoff experience, being so loose is like, oh well, we don't really have the pressure to win these games, so we can just go out and play our game. And the pressure's on those teams that are ranked higher than them to defeat them. And the whole year they've wanted to defeat them because of Caitlin Clark. And they don't want to be embarrassed that they lost to Caitlin Clark, who they disliked the whole year. So the pressure, I think, is on the teams that they play because they want to defeat Caitlin Clark. And if they don't, oh boy.
But they're still going to be a little nervous. Like Kelsey Mitchell's never been in the playoffs before, but she's on a roll right now. So I think that counteracts that a little bit. And we'll see. Right now, Kelsey Mitchell looks like a top 10, top 15 guard in the league, even though ESPN put her at number 25 a couple weeks ago. I think you have to rank her higher than that. If she continues to improve on her defense and continues to pass, she's going to be a top 10 guard. And she's really unstoppable at times when she gets in a roll.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
We'll see what happens, but they don't have the experience. But again, maybe that's the fact that they've never been there. No one's expecting anything of them. There's not a lot of pressure. I will say Caitlin Clark is actually good in the clutch, despite what her haters think. She played her 6 most important games in her college career. I brought this up in another video, were the Elite 8, Final 4, and finals of her junior and senior year. Her freshman and sophomore year, the teams weren't as good. So they didn't have a realistic chance of making it to the finals or winning a championship. In those 6 games, she had 3 of the best games in the history of women's basketball. In just 6 games. People have to remember that. Not great games for her, just great games. It's hard to have a great game every time. You only play above average half the time. Just
right.
Yeah. So she's clutch, and she's made 2 buzzer-beating shots when she was in college, and she would have made them in the WNBA, but for some reason, Coach Sides never draws up a play for her near the end of the game.
Yeah, she's definitely a pressure. She's definitely used to pressure, and she likes it. And that's why she's an elite athlete and ball player. She enjoys that pressure. It doesn't faze her. It kind of brings her up to play even better.
And Kelsey Mitchell's hit some big clutch shots this year, so I'm confident if they need a big bucket at the end of the game, Kelsey Mitchell will come through for him. So that makes them scary. That makes them, if they run, as we know, everyone's saying that. Sue Bird's saying this, the delightful Shira Reeves saying this, Caitlin Clark knows this. Finally, Coach Sides realizes this. If they run, pace is extremely difficult to deal with in the defense. They have to give up the offensive rebound in order to get back in time. That obviously gives them more defensive rebounds, which gives them more possessions of the ball and more chances to score. And so, that's an advantage fever. And their defense isn't set, as you know. That's an advantage fever. So we'll see. I'll wait to the end of the year before I make any kind of prediction because they got 8 more games. They could win 7 or 8 out of 8. They could struggle and go 3 and 5 and be inconsistent, which happens with a young team. So I'm not making any prediction right now. I'm just saying they can make some damage in the playoffs and they could theoretically win the whole thing because I don't think there's one really great team. New York Liberty's only 2 games up on the second place team. And, they're hungry because they lost in the finals last year. And so we'll see. Brianna Stewart's not having her best year. She's been slightly injured. And Asia Wilson is on a tear along with Nafisa Collier. So anything can happen with upsets in the playoffs. It's a short series. If you don't know, it's a best of 3 in the first round. And the first 2 games are both, unless they change the format, which they might change it because they have the charter flights. But what they do is they have both games at home for the higher seeded team. And then the third game, if there is necessary, is back in an away game. So if you split, that's an advantage to the weaker team. But if not, it's a big disadvantage. Yeah. And then it's best of 5 after that. And it goes 2-2, 1-1-1. So it's a little bit fairer, at least. So it's best of 5, both in the semis, in the finals. So unlike the NBA, which is all best of 7.
Right.
All right. So anyways, let us know what you think. What do you think, as of right now, what do you think their chances are of doing some damage in the playoffs?
Mm-hmm.
It's only 3 rounds as opposed to 4 in the NBA. So we'll see what happens.
Also, what do you think about the dynamic duo and how they play?
Yeah, they seem to be the best 2 guards in the league, especially since the break.
Right.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? If you like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, subscribe. If you think they're going to do some damage in the playoffs, subscribe. If you like Rob, subscribe.
If you like my green shirt, subscribe.
If you like the fact that Rob emphasizes defense, subscribe. Just subscribe. Just
do it.
Sometimes I have to explain it to you. Hit that notification bell when you do. So you get notified of our next videos. And we're going to go live today at 4 o'clock. And we're playing the Dallas Wings today, the Indiana Fever. So join us for that. Our normal live show will not go forward tomorrow, which is Labor Day. But it's every Monday from 6 to 8 Eastern time, starting again on September 9th. And if you like this video, hit the like button. And if you want to donate to this channel, there's super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.